Thank you for joining me today. My name is Bernard Crespi at DataTel Payment Technologies. What we're going to explore today is AI agentic commerce, a concept that is starting to reshape how digital transactions actually happen. So for roughly the last couple of decades, digital commerce has followed a very consistent pattern. A person searches for a product, they compare their options, and then they complete their purchase online. Every e-com platform, every website, every checkout flow has been built around this assumption, and that is that humans are in the middle of every step. But that assumption is starting to change. Artificial intelligence is introducing a different model. We're now seeing AI systems that can act on behalf of people and organizations instead of someone manually searching, comparing, and buying. An AI agent can perform those steps automatically. So based on some rules, preferences, and boundaries defined by the user. And that shift introduces a very different question. What happens when the buyer interacting with your systems is no longer a person, but an intelligent system acting as their proxy? And that's that transition we're starting to see. Today, I'm going to walk you through some of the questions that business and technology leaders are beginning to ask. So what is agentic commerce? Let's start with a very simple definition. Agentic commerce refers to transactions that are executed by AI agents acting on behalf of a person or an organization. In traditional e-com, the buyer does most of the work. They search for the products, they compare the options, they evaluate pricing, and then they complete the purchase. In the agentic commerce model, that responsibility shifts. The user defines the intent and the boundaries. That could include things like what's the budget, the preferred suppliers, delivery timelines, or quality specific requirements. So from there, the AI agent takes over. It can search across multiple marketplaces, compare options, evaluate trade-offs, and select what it determines to be the best outcome based on those inputs that were given by the person or the business. And once those conditions are met, it can complete the transaction automatically. So in practical terms, the AI agent becomes a digital representative of the buyer. A simple example would be a consumer asking an AI assistant to find the best flight within a certain price range and book it. On the business side, it could be an AI automatically reordering inventory when the levels drop below a very specific threshold. The key idea is this. The AI system is now performing the operational work of buying, not a human. So now let's move on to, how does agentic commerce actually work? In its current state, as it's continuing to evolve on a daily basis, at a very high level, it follows a structured sequence, one that follows AI systems to act independently while still remaining controlled and accountable. There are 5 stages, depending on how you actually organize them. The first one is delegation. This is where the user defines intent, and that sets the boundaries. That could include your price limits, so the preferred vendors, delivery requirements, or any approval thresholds. The second stage is discovery. That is the AI agent searches across the marketplaces, supplier systems, and product catalogs. But unlike a human, it can evaluate thousands of variables at the same time. The third stage is optimization. Here is the system that compares the options, comparing pricing, delivery timeline, supplier reliability, even past purchasing behavior. And it determines what it believes is the best outcome within the defined constraints that were given by the user. The fourth stage is authorization. Before anything is completed, the agent verifies that the decision falls within the rules set by that user. This is where we're starting to see some new models emerge, things like cryptographic verification and what's being called verifiable intent, ways to confirm that the agent is acting within unauthorized instructions. And the final stage is execution, and that's the transaction is completed through the integrated payment systems, using digital credentials and tokenized payment methods. And this is the key difference. In traditional e-com, the human moves step by step through the process. In agentic commerce, the AI agent is orchestrating the entire flow from the intent to the stage of payment. How do businesses use agentic commerce? So organizations are already exploring practical applications of agentic commerce. The first area is customer-facing commerce, for instance. This is where most businesses today are currently focusing. We're seeing AI assistants embedded into chats, voice interfaces. They can guide customers through the purchasing decision in real time. And in some cases, they can initiate or complete the transaction during that interaction. From there, we move into operational use. And one of the most immediate opportunities is automated procurement. Companies can deploy internal AI agents to monitor supplier markets and automatically purchase materials when price conditions are favorable or when the inventory drops below a defined threshold. Another application is subscription optimization. Most businesses manage a growing number of recurring service contracts. AI agents can monitor those contracts, identify pricing changes, and recommend a renegotiation or switching providers when better options become available. And then there are more advanced applications, things like supply chain coordination, where agents representing different organizations could negotiate delivery timelines, allocate inventory, or coordinate logistics automatically. Now, across all these use cases, the pattern is consistent. The agent is compressing the time required to evaluate options and executing decisions that previously required manual oversight. So what does a business actually need to do to be ready for agentic commerce? And this is still very early. While the concept of agentic commerce sounds straightforward, the infrastructure required to support it is complex and significant. There are four key components. The first one is machine-readable commerce infrastructure, and that is product data, pricing, inventory, and service conditions. And all of this needs to be accessible through APIs so that an AI agent can interact with the system programmatically, not through the traditional human interfaces. So now the second one is identity and authorization. And if an AI agent is executing a transaction, the system needs to be able to verify two things: who authorized that transaction and what exactly was authorized. This is where we're starting to see some new models emerge, things like intent verification frameworks, which create tamper-resistant records of the user authorization. So the third component now is the payment infrastructure, and that is the payment networks need to support transactions initiated by software agents. And this is already in the works on large scale, but still maintain strong authentication, fraud protocols, and compliance requirements. And the fourth one is governance. Organizations need to be able to trace how a transaction happened and confirm that the AI agent operated within its approved boundaries. So now, when we step back, this should feel familiar. In many ways, these are the same types of foundations that enabled commerce adoption 2 decades ago. We're just in terms of what humans needed to do or need to do still today. We're just now applying them to a different kind of participant in the transaction, being an AI agent. So what are the differences between agentic commerce and traditional e-com? So the difference between both of these comes down to one thing: who is doing the decision-making work? In traditional e-commerce, the human is at the center of the process. They search for products, they read reviews, they compare prices, and they manually complete the checkout. Everything is designed around that human behavior. Websites are optimized for browsing, for visuals, for guiding human decisions. Now, Agentic commerce changes that model completely. Now, the AI agent performs that evaluation. It analyzes the pricing, compares the supplier options, and assesses delivery options, all based on predefined criteria that were set by the user. And instead of navigating a website, the agent interacts directly with the back-end system of these websites through APIs, through structured machine readable data. Once the agent determines that an option meets the user's intent, it can complete the transaction automatically. So the focus shifts. Traditional e-com was about optimizing that human user interface. Agentic commerce is about optimizing the decision process itself. And that has an important implication. The customer journey may no longer happen on your website. It may happen outside of it at the system level. So the natural question is agentic commerce actually available today? And the answer is partially. We're not yet seeing a world where fully autonomous AI agents are widely making end-to-end purchasing decisions across all industries, but the building blocks are already here. We're seeing early forms of this in the market. AI assistants that can guide purchasing decisions, systems that can automate parts of the procurement, payment networks, beginning to explore how to support agent-initiated transactions. At the same time, major players are actively building the infrastructure. So organizations like Visa and MasterCard are developing models around trusted transactions and intent verifications. Now, companies like Stripe and Google are working on API and protocols that allow systems to interact more directly. So this is not theoretical, but it's not fully mature. What we are seeing right now is a transition phase where experimentation is happening, standards are being defined, and early use cases are starting to emerge and prove themselves. And this is the key takeaway. Agentic commerce is not something businesses need to fully deploy today, but it's certainly something they need to start preparing for because the shift will not happen all at once. It will happen gradually through the systems and workflows businesses are already using today. So what does this mean for leaders? Agentic commerce represents an emerging shift in how digital transactions may occur in the future. We've seen some major transformations before. The internet changed how people discover products. Mobile changed how they interacted with our services. E-commerce changed how transactions were completed on our websites. Agentic commerce changes something slightly different. It changes who performs the work of buying. Instead of humans navigating every step of the purchasing process, AI agents can handle the research, the evaluation, and the execution. And that leads to the strategic question. It's not simply whether this model will emerge, it's whether our organization and your organization will be prepared to support it. Preparation means a few things: machine readable commerce infrastructure, secure identity and authorization frameworks, payment systems that can support automated transactions, and governance models that can ensure accountability at every step of the process. Because without that foundation, participation becomes difficult. The organizations that begin preparing now will be in a much stronger position to move forward, especially as we move towards a marketplace where the buyer interacting with your system may not be human at all. So the real takeaway is this: agentic commerce is not just another channel or a technology layer. It's a shift on how demand is created, evaluated, and executed. And as that shift unfolds, the organizations that win will be the ones that treat it as an infrastructure decision, not an experiment. Because in a world where machines are participating in transactions, trust, control, and readiness becomes the differentiator. And the question each of us should be asking is simple. If the buyer is no longer human, Is our business ready to engage, transact, and complete that reality? Thank you so much for your time today. And I am looking forward to your questions. Of course, this is for those listening after. This is Bernard Crespi. Look forward to hearing from you.